It is good to be back. Yep, right after one Marvel Disney Plus show ends, we dive right into a new Star Wars one. So I'm gonna give you a spoiler alert. When I make videos on TV episodes, I tend to talk about the spoilers. So you've been warned. If you have not watched the premiere of this new live-action Star Wars show on Disney Plus yet, you probably should not watch this video, unless you don't care, in which case, hello. Alright, disclaimer is done. Let's get started on this new Star Wars show with
no disintegrations.
The Book of Boba Fett. So The Book of Boba Fett is the newest TV show set in the Star Wars universe. It's on Disney Plus. It's in the same vein as The Mandalorian, the hit show that took the world by storm. Now this new series is springboarding off of Boba Fett's reappearance in The Mandalorian Season 2, where we learned that he is, surprise, alive after he was accidentally knocked into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. So now, after showing up in The Mandalorian, he is now going his own way. He has now taken over as the new ruler of Jabba's palace. He is now the new crime lord of Mos Espa. Boba Fett, played by Temuera Morrison, and his right-hand woman, Fennec Shand, played by Ming-Na Wen, they are now here to get shit done, and so here we go. And right off the bat, I love how this episode starts with the flashbacks. I mean, we see Boba Fett in a bacta tank, which, yeah, okay, that makes sense. He's been through some shit, yeah, he needs some healing. But the first flashbacks we get, I really appreciate this. I mean, first of all, we see Kamino, which this is its first live-action appearance, I think since Attack of the Clones. And then we see, from Attack of the Clones, we see him as a kid clutching the helmet of his deceased father, Jango Fett, which, yeah, that's a new shot. I don't think that shot was in the original movie. I mean, I don't know what that scene's relevance is to this show, but what can I say? I appreciate that we see that. It's like, yeah, this is the same character, Boba Fett, that we've always known. All right, here we go. Just so we know, I guess. But we get our explanation, which is what I said I wanted when I made my video on the trailer for this show. I said, all right, as Star Wars fans, we deserve the right to know how exactly he survived that Sarlacc pit. And so we see him down there in the guts. And it's super gross down there, and he uses his flamethrower, and he gets out. We see him crawling out of the sand, and I was like, this is Star Wars history we're seeing right now. This is the character of Boba Fett, who everyone assumed was dead since 1983. This is Lucasfilm coming out and saying, yeah, he survived that. That is officially canon now, and here it is. Yeah, I will say that was a privilege to see. And of course, he's gonna be super weak, so he just collapses right then and there, and Jawas strip him of his armor, which, yeah, that does line up with what Cobb Vanth said in the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 2. I think he said that he bought that armor off of some Jawas, so there you go, it lines up. Makes sense. So now Boba Fett is armorless, and he's dragged to this Tusken Raider camp, and this is where I realized that this show is not gonna be just him and Fennec Shand in the present, ruling Jabba's palace and all that. This show, at least from what I saw in this first episode, is gonna be part flashback, you know, like the show Arrow or something. Like it's gonna go back and forth between the past and the present. Yeah, that's something the trailers definitely omitted. And honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, granted, I like seeing what happened to Boba Fett after he got out of the Sarlacc pit, but after that post-credit scene of The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, I don't think a lot of Star Wars fans were asking for what happened to Boba Fett right after he survived the Sarlacc pit. We were asking how he survived, but we were not asking for what he did right afterwards. Or at least that's how I see it. And I bring this up because the flashbacks here, they don't really seem as interesting to me as the present day stuff. And of course, when I say present day, I mean, you know, the time that was advertised in the trailers, when he's with Fennec Shand. And so yeah, he and Fennec Shand are the new rulers of Jabba's palace, and the first scene we get with them is they're at the throne and people are coming in and paying respects to them. Basically, I think Boba Fett's just trying to make it known throughout Tatooine that he is the new crime lord of Mos Espa. Mos Espa, which I guess is the big city that we saw in the trailer. I guess it's like if Mos Eisley is the suburb, Mos Espa is the city. Alright, well, fair enough, I guess. I do like the fact that they bring in those two Gamorrean guards. They formerly served under Jabba and Bib Fortuna briefly, and now they're gonna serve under Boba Fett. And they are pretty loyal too. That comes in later. I like that because, you know, Boba Fett as the new ruler, he's gonna need some bodyguards. Might as well rehire the same ones that were working there before. Yeah, makes sense. Even though Fennec Shand thought it might have been a bad idea, which Why? I'm curious. Why did she think that was a bad idea? So Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, and their two new bodyguards, they go into the city, and they go to this cantina, which, alright. Yeah, now it feels like Star Wars again. We're in a cantina. It's like every single damn Star Wars installment, no matter what it is, we have to have a cantina of some kind. It like solidifies that this is a Star Wars installment. I mean, I guess I can't complain too much because once they walked in there, I was like, yeah, now it does in fact feel like Star Wars. You had that droid, which is the same droid from the Star Tours ride at Disney Disneyland. And even the music that was playing in this scene, I was like, oh my god, that's a variation of the original Cantina band's song. God damn it. Seriously, with that shit? It is pretty subtle though. In fact, I didn't even realize that until my second time watching this. So, alright, fair enough, I guess. Maybe. I imagine some Star Wars fans are gonna be pissed. They're gonna be like, come on, do something different for once. Ah, well, whatever. Not this time. But the reason that Boba and Fennec are here is, again, they just want to make themselves known as the new rulers of Jabba's palace. They talk to this one Twi'lek Garsa Fwip. She runs the joint. They're like, we rule Jabba's palace now. And she's like, all right, cool. What I really like that they established in this episode, though, is that the relationship between Boba Fett and Fennec Shand is a little rocky-ish. Or what I mean by that is that they do have some differing ideologies when it comes to a couple things. Like Boba Fett says, yeah, I intend to rule with respect. And Fennec Shand says, you know, in these difficult times, fear might be a surer bet. I got the feeling that Fennec Shand, she's more of an assassin type. Like she would really rather just kill dudes than negotiate. While Boba Fett, on the other hand, has to hold her back. He's like, no, peace, negotiation, that's how we're gonna do it. He didn't want to be carried in on a litter like Jabba used to be, like Fennec recommended. I'm just curious as to where that relationship is gonna end up by the end of this season. That, to me, so far is one of the most intriguing things about this entire show. But then they're attacked by what looks like ninjas from the Foot Clan, and so we have our first real big action scene of the series. And I'll admit, when it was first starting off, I was like, this just seems a little clunky to me. Just the pacing of the punches and everything, it felt kind of slow and kind of draggy. But I guess I should have expected that, you know? I mean, Boba Fett's an aged man. Besides, Fennec Shand is still a badass. Also, I like the fact that those Gamorrean guards prove their loyalty here. Yeah, they come to the rescue, and they start fighting, and that was really cool, I thought. And then Fennec goes after those two ninjas, and I was like, she's awesome. They're running on rooftops like the Foot Clan. And when it's her against those two ninjas, I was like, she can take them. Cause hello, she's Fennec Shand, played by Ming-Na Wen. She's a badass. And sure enough, she takes the both of them. It looks like she does kill one of them. She kicks him off the roof. Although Boba said to take them in alive, I guess just one is okay. Cause it looks like she is gonna take in that last one alive. So alright, fair enough. I guess Fennec Shand just wants to prove that she and Boba Fett are the new rulers and they are not to be messed with. Maybe she thinks Boba Fett's a little too soft. That's probably it. And so after the Gamorrean guards take Boba Fett back to the Bacta tank, we go back to the flashback, which I was like, oh man. So we're back at the Tusken Raider camp and I was like, again, this is not as interesting. I don't really care what Boba Fett's doing with this Rodian, which is Greedo's species. Although I will admit that monster looked pretty interesting. It looked like something out of an old Godzilla movie or something. It really did too. The whole time I was like, that looks like it should be fighting an old style Godzilla. That thought just did not leave my mind the entire time that thing was on screen. And so Boba Fett takes the thing down, he decapitates it, and they bring it back to camp. And that's where this episode ends. I was like, okay. I like the present day stuff. The flashbacks were interesting. I like that we got the explanation as to how he survived the Sarlacc pit, because that was well deserved and it was years, if not decades coming. So props to that for sure. But in the end, this first episode was definitely good. I enjoyed it, but I'm just hoping from here on out that the flashbacks, if they're gonna keep happening, they are as interesting as the present day stuff, because I love the present day stuff. I love it all, except for that Major Domo dude. That guy was kind of weird. But visually, the show looks great, of course. The acting is really good. The set design, the sound effects, we're back in the world of Star Wars. The music, that main theme written by Ludwig Göransson, who won an Emmy for The Mandalorian. This music is very different from The Mandalorian. It does sound a lot more primitive with those voices, the hum, da 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 dum. It sounds really cool. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the rest of this show, because who am I kidding? This is Star Wars, the Book of Boba Fett. I'm gonna be tuning in every week. And since for whatever reason I didn't make videos on each episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, what better time to start making weekly videos on live action episodes of Star Wars shows on Disney Plus than now. So, the premiere episode of The Book of Boba Fett, titled Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Have you watched it yet? What do you think about it? What are your first impressions on The Book of Boba Fett? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta make sure that my top 10 movies of the year list is in the right order. I'm still kind of flip-flopping between a couple choices, but I'll have that video up on New Year's Eve. Peace!